Okay, well, we'll get to some of the questions about the game, but I was proud of our team. I told them that in the locker room, just to finish and play well enough in the second half to win. We didn't do that at times on last year's team, so that was something that we emphasized from January, and we emphasized all the way through fall camp and still into this game, and that was something we talked about in the second half. We didn't play well like we wanted to in the first half, and then we found ways to get the job done in the second half. So overall, I was proud of our guys from that standpoint. Plenty to clean up, we know that. And I think the glaring one was the penalties. Number one, we had a lot of penalties tonight and the turnovers. Those two things really factored into the game. And we got to get some on the defensive side to balance that out. But San Jose State, we'll start with them. I knew they would play hard. I know they're a good football team. I know they're well coached. And I think you can look around college football and the assumptions that the teams that may not be the top tier teams in everybody's opinion, they play pretty damn good football. And San Jose State did that again tonight. All right, they showed that as well. Overall, I thought the crowd really played a factor in the game with some of the false starts they had. So it was good to feel it in the goal line stand that we had down there. That was really good by our crowd to hear them and feel them in the game. That's what playing at Auburn should be like. It should be really, really challenging for the opposing teams, and I thought we felt that tonight. We just didn't get into a very good rhythm on the offensive side in the first half. I thought the second half we were able to run the ball more effectively, found a few schemes. Coaches made some adjustments. And then defensively, we did enough. We pressured the quarterback. We got after him. We sacked him a few times. He's a slippery guy, but he got out and made a few plays. Back end, I thought we gave up. There were some penalties that I'll go back and look at. But I thought we gave up a few throws that we could have challenged and had a better outcome on our end of things. So, and then special teams, were not really a big factor necessarily tonight. We had the field goal and all that, but I think there were some opportunities for us that we could have utilized special teams a little bit better. So we'll take this and we'll learn from it and we'll apply it going into next week, and that's the beauty of what we do. All right, it doesn't stop. So we got to get better. And that starts with me. I got to coach better. I got to make sure these guys are better prepared, and our staff and everybody else. So that's the one thing I challenge our guys. Look in the mirror, and that starts with me to make sure that we are more prepared and that we are going to play cleaner. We're going to play better fundamentally in certain situations, and then make sure that we operate in all three phases better than we did tonight. But that has to do with our opponent too, so I'm not going to take anything away from San Jose State. And I am proud of our guys. I really am proud of those guys, how they handle themselves. And we've got to clean things up. I think they know that, and we'll get back to work on that tomorrow. So with that, questions?
Second row, Brian Schultz.
Brian, how big was that first drive in the second half to kind of get momentum going for the offense?
Yeah, we needed it. We didn't have really any. You guys saw that too. We sputtered. The turnovers that we had, we kind of got it going. Robbie got going a little bit, then we had a pick. TJ had the pick, and I thought the kid, he threw a little out route to the field there, and that kid made a good play. That's one of those that, most guys don't make that play. And he really did. I thought he was throwing on time. They brought some pressure, and so he had to get it out, and that was kind of just a one-on-one man beater, and the kid drove on it. So that, those plays, it's disappointing, but you also look at it. The kid dove, made a great catch. It was the right decision that TJ had with the ball. We just slightly inside. It's inches, and that kid made it. The earlier one, we had an opportunity to make a play there. We just didn't have a fourth throw in that case. But second half, getting some momentum, running the ball, getting the ball in Tank's hands, getting the run game going, figuring out a few things, that got us in rhythm, and then coming out and scoring. That really helps just the momentum, which we really didn't have from the offensive side. So that was key for us to get.
Goodbye.
How important was it to see Finley go 12-15 after throwing that interception?
Yeah, well, that's important for all of us. I think for him to bounce back from that. But again, one of the things, like I said, the interception, he was making the right decision. He's trying to make a play, and the kid makes a great play. Now we got to get that ball. We got to get it inches out there, right? That's what we got to do. That's where we're going. We're going where those inches, we can be a little bit better in those areas. But he came on the sideline. He knew it. I knew it. All right, guy made a good play. Let's respond. Let's get the defense out there, try to get the ball back, and now get back into what we have to do from his standpoint to go execute the offense and operate. what I do appreciate about that, I just, guys get in the tank too much. That's one of the things that we've emphasized too. Body language, guys get in the tank. It doesn't go your way. You can't just restart the game. You got to go out there and you got to compete. You got to play. And I think our team showed some resiliency in that situation. All right, where, hey, we threw a pick, we came back. He was able to throw the ball effectively and still be productive, hit some big plays. But, you got to do that. That's part of being a good football team. And like we saw today, some teams don't. You win some of these games, they're not always pretty, but you got to go find a way to win. And they did that. He found a way to overcome the turnover and go out there and be pretty good in the game.
You can say your name and affiliation as well. No?
Coach, I know from the Orange League, y'all had 15 Super wins to start last season. So Penn State was like the first close game y'all played in. So coming off a one possession win, how does that change the way you prepare for Penn State this year?
Well, yeah, I don't think the score necessarily affects that. You go look at all the other things that we have to get better at. And Penn State, they just keep getting better. The teams that we play, we know Penn State. We know they're a good football team. So really it goes back to still we got to focus on ourselves, right? Penn State, we're not there on their practice field. We don't get to watch what they do. We get an idea from the games we played. But we really have to focus on ourselves. We got to make sure that we have our game plans down and we understand the details of it. We coach it better. We rep it better in practice. We find better ways to improve our football team before we go play against Penn State. That'll be the goal, whether we won by 50 or we won by a score. It's always got to be the mindset. Every single week you're improving, and you have to because the opponents are getting better and better as the season goes on.
Two consecutive in the back row.
Justin Ferguson, Auburn Observer. You talked about the secondary and having a high standard for them to tighten some stuff up. San Jose State was able to hit some downfield throws, especially in the second half. What did you think of those guys and kind of how that went today?
Yeah, I still think we got to improve, and I like the guys we have back there. I thought Keontae Scott did some good things tonight, but in some of those one-on-ones, I believe in our guys. I believe that we can win some of those one-on-ones a little more. Now the penalties. They're frustrating, but I got to go back and look at them and really review them. We'll send some of those in, I'm sure, but we had too many of them, and too many third down conversions. And at the end of the day, on defense, the goal was to be +1 in turnovers. Well, the last 2 games were -4. We haven't gotten it. And when the ball is being thrown, at some point we got to find a way to be in a position to make some of those plays on the ball. We almost did that one that came back, and I'll just say this: I thought it was an incomplete pass. So the ruling, it wasn't that I thought it was a turnover. I thought it was an incomplete pass. So when they came on and told everybody, I think that was the right decision. But yeah, we gotta make some plays on the ball a little bit more than we did. And San Jose State. Now I said this before. Their pass game is really good. They do a good job scheming up. Their offensive coordinator is very good. Their head coach is very good. So we knew that they were going to be a challenge. They would scheme some things up. They did that. They got us a few times. But those balls in the air that we have a chance, those 50-50 balls, we got to find ways to come down with some of those.
Caesar Walker, War Report. Coach, you mentioned you wanted to see some improvement in red zone defense after the Mercer game.
Yeah.
Your assessment of the red zone defense tonight?
Well, I don't know what our stats were. I know we had that one stand when they got down to the 1 yard line. That was a great job. That was a hell of a job by our defense. And they had a few penalties, but our guys made plays. They tried to run the ball on us, and our D-line swelled up. Linebackers were hitting them. They moved it back, had a few penalties. That was huge. Right there when you get on the 1 yard line, they don't score a touchdown. That's huge from your defense, and we needed that tonight, obviously, in a close game. But, yeah, it's always situational stuff, right? Third downs, red zone, especially when you get an explosive play or our offense puts us in the position on defense where they got great field position. That's really what I think really good defenses do. When there's a turnover, a sudden change, it's get out there and watch me now. Like, this is what we got to do to get the ball back, or we got to swell up. And if we're in a real bad position, don't let them score a touchdown. If they kick a field goal, we have a chance to try to block one. But those guys didn't have great field position early in the first half because of the offense. I thought in the second half we did a good job, and I thought we did decent. in the red zone tonight, but we got to continue to keep getting better in that area.
Is that correct?
Brian, Jeff Spiegel, ABC 3340. Considering everything that happened in college football today, it was a crazy day. A lot of heavy favorites struggled, lost. How appreciative are you just to win by 80 margin?
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, I don't take it for granted, that we win. I mean, as a competitor and, being involved from Sunday through Friday, right, you just have all these expectations. That's the one thing after a game, you got to think all the work you put in, like there's so many things that happen from Sunday to Friday. And when the game's over, we're talking about it right now, you're just processing all those things that came up. Did we do enough of this? Did we miss that? Why did that happen? Oh, we were dialed on this, we just didn't make the play. Whatever it is, but at the end of the day, the goal is to win. And that's always the goal. The goal is to be 1-0 every single week and find a way to win. And coaches, fans, parents, all that, like we hang on to these games way longer than the players do. That's the one thing, because tomorrow they got to go back to work. And just being a player, like, you're excited about it, you learn from it and all that, but tomorrow you're back in the weight room, you're running, you're practicing. Like you've moved on. You're on to the next opponent. So we'll go back and we'll look at what we did well, what we didn't do well. But yeah, if you watch the games today and really just doing this for a long time, never say a win's a win, but it's always good to win. All right, and it's hard to win. And I think that's one thing, if you look at what happened today, I think everybody realizes that it is hard to win. You get off a little bit, all of a sudden human nature kind of sets in and it's not going your way, and you know what, I'm not kind of feeling this right now, and all of a sudden the other team's feeling it, they got the momentum. That's the one thing that, that really shows up in games, right? Who's got the momentum? Who can create that? And can your team overcome that? Good football teams can, right? They can take a punch in the face and they can just find a way to go out there and get a win somehow, some way. But I've never been on a team, even undefeated seasons, I've never been on a team that you just go out there and beat everybody 56-0. All right, I've been on a team that we've been undefeated where we had to go for two, had to kick a field goal against San Jose State in 2006. We had to go for two, and then we had to kick a field goal to win the game, and they weren't any good. Everybody said that, right? We're there to blow them out, and we barely won the game. So you have games like that, and you don't take it for granted, because at the end of the year, you're putting up 42 against Oklahoma, right? So there's just seasons like that you don't ever know, but it's how your team shows up to play and how they compete and that momentum that they have in the game, and just, kind of the ball bounces your way sometimes.
Second row.
Brian, Henry Patton, Auburn Rivals. What did you see from Owen Papo this week, and did you kind of notice a difference between how he played this week and how he played last week?
I got to go watch. I watched how he played today. I thought we did a good job, brought some pressure. But the one thing about Owen I notice every single week is just how he prepares himself. Like Owen's a pro. Owen's got a process every single week where from Sunday through Friday, whether it's his body, it's his mind preparing for the game, it's his practice habits and all that. He's got that, right? He's got that X factor from that standpoint. So I don't know exactly what his stats were tonight and what happened there, but I know when he's out there, we're better. I know how he prepares himself. He's going to know what to do, and I know that he's an impact player for us. And he's on the punt team, and he does things on special teams to help us too. So that's something that he's got to continue to keep doing. But he's been really good for us the last couple of games.
Got two more. Bennett.
Brian, you talked about sort of struggling in the second half a bit last season. From a coaching perspective, what adjustments did you and Coach Keys want to make at halftime in this game to sort of clean up some of the issues?
Well, we wanted to run the ball. That was one thing. We wanted to run the ball in this game, and we tried to. Now they did a good job. Very first play they come out there. I mean, they had a loaded front and all that, so we tried to throw one. I don't think the decisions, or let me take it back. I don't think the concepts were bad. We misexecuted on a couple of them, right? However, I do think from a game plan standpoint, in the second half, it's like, let's get out there and run the rock. Let's run the ball. Let's get Tank going. Let's get these guys going. Let's be physical. Because that was the message this week. We want to be physical, and we were able to do that. And so we just started running the ball, and the coaches made some halftime adjustments. They saw a few things, so we made some corrections in what we're doing, added a couple play calls in there, and that's what you do. You make second half adjustments, and we did that, which helped us. But I think overall, just our rhythm in the first half was not very good. when you have 2 turnovers, you're kind of back and forth. You had a couple explosives, and you turn the ball over, then you're moving the ball, and you have a turnover again. You give the opposing team good field position. It wasn't a good rhythm. In the second half, we got into a better rhythm. Yeah, I thought we executed better in the run game, which is what we wanted to do, and still enough, at the end of the game, right? We got to fix some of those things that happened as well, but we'll learn from it. I know our guys, they're learning. They're learning, they're growing, they're getting better at some of the things we're asking them to do. But there's a lot in the game. Everything's a situation, so guys have to think. You got to play, but you got to think, and you got to know the situations, and you got to know what we're getting, and you got to be able to execute it. And we did that in the second half better.
Mark, last one.
Yeah. Coach, did you guys have a good week of practice, and did you have any indication you might come out a little slow tonight? And then second half, what was the big thing you guys did better?
Yeah, we had a decent week of practice. This is the first real week that our guys have had to truly prepare for an opponent, and not having since January to get ready for them. And that's the one thing I think everybody underestimates is Sunday through Friday, and I say it all the time, but you got class, you got things going on, you got life, and you got 3 days really, from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and those are kind of your physical days, your practice days to get ready. Friday you fine tune it, and then Saturday you go play, and then Sunday night, you're doing a bunch of football homework, you're doing school homework, all those things like that. So yeah, there was a few things we had to be better at in practice. And to me, that's the key to your success as a team. How you practice is how you're going to go out there and play. I think it's really important. What I thought in the second half, I thought at halftime coming in there, one thing I liked about the locker room was there wasn't guys in the locker room with their head down. There wasn't guys in there just pouting. There wasn't guys in there throwing a fit. I mean, those type of things I think just bad football teams do. Guys are in there like, look, lock in, let's go out there and execute. Sometimes, it's not a rah-rah deal. It's a very matter-of-fact thing. Like, we're not blocking this guy. We're not covering this guy. We're not recognizing his formation, whatever it is. And for coaches, too. I mean, when you can do that, when you can hone in on exactly what the adjustments need to be and guys listen to it, and then we come out and execute it in the second half, that's what we did the best, in my opinion. Because they sat there in front of the boards, the guys listened, they nodded, went out in the second half, we made the adjustments, and we were able to execute. Primarily on the offensive side. And then defensively, we did some good things in the second half. We had to use a hands situation at the end of the game. So these things start to come up that you practice that you haven't done yet, that you got to go out there and execute. And it wasn't perfect, but those are all the situations that we got to be ready for. And I thought the guys handled that well in the second half.